We wanted to talk about routing and the importance of routing. So your pay is determined by dispatch miles. So this is why it's important to drive on your designated route. The trucking company is paid per dispatch mile, which in turn will only pay you for those miles. So nobody really gets paid if you drive out of route. So don't drive out of route, right? It costs about $2 per mile to drive out of route, and this will be deducted from your paycheck. And so the reason why it costs this $2 per mile, I mean, it's a huge number, but if you think about it, there's all of the wasted fuel, the stop and go fuel economy as you're driving, out of route. You got per mile escrow accounts, and just all of these things add up to being so many costs. And so let's say you do drive 20 out of route miles, your pay will be deducted $40. Some exceptions to always driving en route. Sometimes there will be reasons to go out of route, and if you feel like there is one, then always call dispatch before assuming going out of route is better. If the out of route miles are not checked with dispatch beforehand, then your pay will be deducted no matter what. And avoid these costly areas. These things that you may think are more expensive than going out of route, then sometimes you will need to go out of route after you double check with dispatch. So an example of these are these costly tolls, road construction, severe storms, and things like that. So you also need to avoid common mistakes. So a big mistake is drivers will just be so focused on their GPS that they won't think about where it's taking them. So you need to verify your GPS is taking you on the route that you've been dispatched. And don't follow your dispatch. Dang it. We wanted to have a training on routing and the importance of it. So your pay is determined by dispatched miles, which means, the miles that your dispatcher tells you to go. So it's important to go on this designated route because your trucking company is paid per dispatched mile, which in turn can only pay you for those miles. So nobody will get paid if you go out of route. So don't drive out of route. It costs about $2 a mile to drive out of route, and this will be deducted from your paycheck. So $2 a mile sounds like a lot, but really there's a lot of costs that go into driving out of route. There's the wasted fuel, stop and go fuel economy, per mile escrow accounts. There's so many things that add up. So it's important to steer clear of driving out of route. So if you drive 20 out of route miles, your pay will be deducted $40 because it's $2 times the 20. And so there's exceptions to always driving en route. There may be times where you feel like it's better to go out of route than going through something that may be expensive. And so at these times, it's always important to talk to your dispatcher anytime you think that going out of route is better. And if you don't check with your dispatcher beforehand and then you go out of route, your pay will be deducted. And so these things that you feel like you should avoid, these costly areas, sometimes are important to avoid. There's costly tolls, there's road construction, maybe severe storms are important to avoid. So things like this you can talk to your dispatcher about. It's also important to avoid these common mistakes that some drivers make. One of them that's really big is the GPS. Some drivers just follow the GPS blindly, but you need to verify your GPS is taking you on the route you have been dispatched. Sometimes it doesn't line up correctly, and maybe some roads you can't drive on a trucking road. And don't follow your GPS if it means going out of route, unless you've checked with your dispatcher otherwise. Also, you need to call the shippers and receivers for verbal directions to the facility. This will help prevent you from driving out of route trying to search for the facility. Driving around town is very costly. And going along with that, it's very expensive to drive your truck for sightseeing purposes. It's not what you should do. A cab will be cheaper and much less dangerous. It's also important for you to make a fuel plan and follow that fuel plan. If you ever miss a fuel stop, it can result in out-of-route miles trying to find a truck stop for you to fill up in. So here's an example of some dispatch miles, a route. And so the first step that your dispatcher does is he finds this route for you, and he figures out how long that route is. The dispatcher will look to see if that route can be driven by trucks that they're legal to drive on. And finally, the dispatcher will work with the broker to find a price based on the distance traveled. So once he's done all of this, then he'll call you as a driver and confirm with you the route that you're going and how many miles it'll be. And so this is why routing is so important for you to stay on route, because it'll save you money, be able to increase your paycheck.